Now, this really did occur. Man was a student in seminary, had just started his work as a seminary student, and about the 4th month in school had been called to be pastor of a little church about 4 hours away from Louisville, where he was in seminary at Southern Baptist. Well, he would drive on Saturday mornings about 4 hours down to this little church. He would spend Saturday afternoon visiting prospects for the congregation, checking on people who'd moved into the community. Saturday night he would, eat with one of the families, maybe have a youth fellowship, cookout, wiener roast during good weather. Sunday morning he would preach. Sunday afternoon he would visit the sick and the shut-ins. That was before pro football. And now most ministers stay in and have meditation on Sunday afternoon. And he's, out visiting on Sunday. Preaches Sunday night, has a little late snack with 2 or 3 of the family, spends the night, eats breakfast the next morning, and immediately leaves and drives to Louisville. No Monday classes in seminary. Gets there right after lunch. Spends the afternoon studying to get ready for the following day. It's a beautiful cycle, and it happens all the time in seminaries. Well, he, like CD, had been there just 3 or 4 weeks. Got back on Monday about noon. There was a note on his door to return a call to one of the families. He did. And one of the men in his congregation had passed away that morning with a heart attack while he was on the road those 4 hours driving to Louisville. And the family was calling to see if there was any chance he could come down to conduct the funeral service on Wednesday morning. He said yes, he could. He would be pleased to do that. As soon as class was out Tuesday, he got in his car, drove straight down to this little church, and got there about 8 o'clock that evening. Went straight to the family's home where the body was lying in state at this beautiful old farmhouse, and got through all the cars and trucks out in front and got to the porch and knocked. They let him in, and when he came in, they realized that it was the new pastor and ushered him straight back to the back of the house where he could talk with the widow. Well, he came in, and people kept interrupting as they were trying to make plans for the funeral service. Now, it was his first funeral, and he definitely wanted to do things right, terribly nervous, and they were trying to get serious conversation going, and people would keep coming in and trying to speak with her. So finally, she said, we really need to find some place where we can have some quiet conversation to ourselves. He said, I agree. They started looking, and the only place they could find that didn't have a bunch of people in it anywhere in the house was the bathroom. Now, I'm not inventing this. So they go in the bathroom, shut the door. She turned the skeleton key and locked the door, and then she sat down on the edge of the tub, and he took the other seat. And you rarely find a chair in there. And so anyhow, he goes in and sits down, and they begin now to talk about the plans for the funeral service tomorrow. And they are just dealing with all of these serious, deep, intimate questions, all the kinds of things this man has done, his favorite scriptures, and all the things that he would want said at his funeral, all the things she would want said, his leadership in the church and the community. Got all that together, the music, everything they needed. And he decided then that they should have scripture and prayer. So he read the 23rd Psalm, and then they bowed their heads for prayer. They finished the prayer, and she looked up with tears just hanging on the rims of her eyes to thank him so much for taking time to come at this time of grief and stress. He said he was so pleased that he could be of help. Anytime he could be of help, he always wanted to be of help. And they, talked this way. Really a deep, intimate, warm, wonderful conversation between a pastor and one of his parishioners. He said then they stood up to leave the bathroom, and just a reflex action, he reached back and flushed it. And you cannot unflush a commode, right? It's just, will go on and do its thing. And he said he had never wanted to relive 5 minutes so bad in all of his life. He was studying wallpaper and she was looking at linoleum. Just, mercy, never. So neither one of them knew what to say, and so they just pivoted. She unlocked the door, and they walk out in the hall just as the thing goes all the way to the bottom. And the whole community turns, and here comes the widow and the new pastor, and the commode is running. He said they never let him live that down as long as he was there.